We are recording. What? Do my eyes deceive me? I know I'm wearing sunglasses, but back from assignment from parts unknown, Charles.
Yo,
Charlie.
yo. How's everyone doing? Is Frank over his COVID?
No, Frank is.
I
Frank
feel
has the COVID that never goes away.
No.
This is the song that doesn't end.
No, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty oozy today, but
Steve.
I got the little bit of the nagging cough, but hopefully it doesn't show up during this show.
Listen, Frank, as I was saying off air, Tom DeLonge had a very fruitful career with the nasally voice. So I think you're good. And then Charlie mentioned the singer from Newfound Glory.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Nasal is in. It's always in. Salute to the nasal warriors out there.
Yeah. It's going to be like that anyway this time of year with these, like we discussed on the previous show, these lovely fall allergies to go along with the various diseases that are floating around.
Oh, yes.
You got to get that hydrochloroquine. That's what you need. You just got to whip it.
Oh, shit.
No, don't do that. Anyone at home that does that, you're an idiot. All right. 1996. I was 10. I was 10 years old.
As was I.
Jeez, guys. I was actually just about to turn 14, but I was, because of when I was born, I was actually a freshman in high school when the show happened. So 9th grade. You guys were still watching Sunday cartoons, and I was doing,
I didn't have hair in certain places at the time. 1996 Fall Brawl, the War Games. NWO running wild at this time. We were getting a bunch of new members almost every week at this point. I've lost track at this point. Again, comment, view, subscribe, like, share, comment. Please.
Absolutely. It helps us, helps the channel.
Frank, Charlie, what pay-per-views have we covered from 1996? We've done Bash. What else have we done? Just Bash?
96, just Bash.
Okay. Cool. All right. So we had Hog Wild after Bash. Hogan gets the belt from the Giant. And then Flair becomes number one contender. They have a match at Clash of Champions, which is our next show. We're actually going to go back and review Clash of Champions.
Okay.
Which will be fine because it's going to be a shorter show, which is great. Now it takes us to Fall Brawl. I guess the big storyline, Frank, Charlie, what side is Sting on? We started getting the story that takes about 18 months to unfold from this point.
Sure.
Frank, you want to kind of just give the cliff notes of this little storyline, and then Charlie, you can fill in some blanks, or I can fill in some blanks.
You fill in some blanks. I'm the WCW here.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, I was a little older then, but yeah. So, of course, the NWO starts. Hogan is revealed at Bash. He wins the title. Leading up to this show, we had the Giant join the NWO randomly. We had Ted DiBiase show up. And then we had the Nitro before this pay-per-view, a week before, that Monday, or 6 days before. Luger was like lured out to the parking lot, and there was like a limo out there, and it was raining. I do recall this pretty vividly. And out stepped Sting. Sting, who proceeded to beat up Luger after they had played like an audio clip of him, so he thought it was him. But yeah, it was in the rain. It was shot from far away enough. I mean, I guess if you look closely enough, maybe you would be like, wait a minute. But I remember
live awesomely shot because it was also in the NWO black and white.
Yeah, it was shot kind of like, it was shot in a way where, deliberately. So you couldn't really see it up close shot. I'll be honest, even though I was, a little older than you guys at the time, I bought it at face value because, it's not like we had YouTube breaking down, zooming in on faces, and I didn't have any. I didn't have the internet in my pocket at the time, so I couldn't go online and read. Meltzer telling us. So this was actually
the carrier pigeon didn't come to your house yet
No.
with the Wrestling Observer.
So anyway, we went off the air Nitro. We were led to believe that Sting had turned on Luger and WCW and joined the NWO, right?
Yep.
And so we went to that weekend, and since there was no other shows at the time, we had Saturday night, and they didn't. And since that was pre-taped, there wasn't really anything going on with Sting, so there was still a question going into that night. Like,
yep.
Well, it wasn't even a question. It was like, who's going to replace Sting now? He joined them. He's going to be, because they had a mystery fourth member, and they're saying that's him. So what is WCW going to do? They only have 3 guys now. So that's the kind of the cliff notes. They get to the show, and we'll discuss something that happens on the show. But that's pretty much it. So we were led to believe, or at least that's what the story they were selling on TV, that Sting had joined NWO at the time. But we'll see later on that's not the case. Exactly.
Now, 3-man booth for this show. Sometimes I like the 3-man booth. We had the American Dream, baby. With probably the worst Dusty Rhodes accent ever.
Everyone does it. It's okay.
Bobby Heenan, Shivani, Dusty Rhodes.
Really.
I like this. I like this 3-man booth. I don't know. Maybe nostalgia. I don't know.
They play off each other well.
Opening match. A very young whippersnapper, Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Diamond Dallas Page. I believe the part of the storyline was DDP injured Eddie and Chavo's looking for retribution.
Yeah. So Eddie had beaten DDP for that ring, the Battle Bowl. Was it the Battle Bowl ring? He beat him for it, and then he immediately beat him up after the match and injured him, so he was out.
Now, what ring is more useless? The ring that MJF has or the Battle Bowl ring?
Well, at least MJF uses it as a weapon, so I guess his is a little more valuable. And he's had it for 3 years, right? So,
what did you guys think about this match?
Frank, you want to go?
Oh, yeah, sure. It was a nice little opener. Chavo's, like I said, very young here, but he's quick. He's game for this. DDP was getting better every day as we saw at the time, about to hit his peak, during the NWO angle. So, yeah, it was a fine opener. They're just kind of like you said, it's like a placeholder for the story because Eddie's going to come back.
What I will add to this whole not the match, but DDP specifically, one of the best things that came out of the NWO getting new members seemingly weekly was a speculation of who's joining the NWO next, and it got to a certain point where everyone pegged DDP as the next member of the NWO due to his affiliation or pre-affiliation with Hall and Nash last time they were in WCW together. They were part of a group or a faction. And how they swerved everyone when DDP took the shirt, did the diamond cutter to Hall. It really lit the world on fire for DDP. Like almost instantly with one diamond cutter, he became the people's champion, Diamond Dallas Page, that we know and love from that 97 through early 2000 period of WCW. So as much as people want to complain that there is a new NWO member every week, in many ways, it helped DDP get over. So,
for sure, 100%. And I know that was 100% Hall and Nash paying him back. DDP is the one who changed Hall's whole look when he became the Diamond Stud, which led to Razor Ramon. So he always credited him with changing his career. Nash working with him as well. So yeah, it was really cool way of doing that, and it got him over. Like he was like the top baby face overnight. Other than Sting that was still doing that whole in the rafters angle, but DDP's like the top guy overnight. From like on this show, he's like an opening match mid card heel. He becomes like the top good guy immediately with one diamond cutter, like you said.
Yeah. I guess some of the things that didn't make sense was how the Giant went from Team WCW to Team NWO in like a span of 2 weeks after getting beat by Hogan. Just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense considering him and Hogan had this long-standing feud. Like all of a sudden, in one way, that really soured the Giant character until he leaves WCW. Because how many times did he flip-flop? I'm in the NWO. I'm out of the NWO.
Yeah. Well, that's the story of Big Show's career.
It kind of is.
So.
Even here, he joins them, and like 3 months later, he's out, and then a year later, he's back. Like Charlie said, it just continued his whole career, which always seemed to derail him. There were some times where certain turns would help him, but for the most part, he's young here. He hates Hogan, but yet he's with him. I guess you can sell that maybe he was lured to them because look what we can do for your career and all that. And he's talking about doing movies because Hogan's going to help him out. So he was young and impressionable, I guess is the idea here. I don't know.
And at the time, Mean Gene gave a special, it was like a pre-tape report talking about the NWO and their attacks and all of that. Gene's contract was actually expired at the time. That's why he was not on the actual physical show.
Before we go into what's next, I just wanted to say, it was a solid opening match, but could the ring placement have been more off for that diamond cutter?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
He was like against the ropes, and he diamond cutters him.
Yeah, he liked to hit that out everywhere. Unfortunately, sometimes it didn't work out. He's seen a lot better ones, obviously. It's always weird on these Raw game shows where there's 2 rings and like but they keep switching which one they're in, and the camera placement's always kind of funny.
Then I want to ask both of you. In 1996 WCW, with a roster similar to modern day AEW, why in the blue hell is Ice Train and Scott Norton a featured match on a pay-per-view? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, they had to pay off that whole angle, Fire and Ice. That long-standing tag team of 2 months had to have a big blow-off match here.
It's funny you mentioned that AEW statement you made, because I was thinking when they brought in the Mexican World Championship that we're going to talk about later. I guess that's how AEW is styling themselves after, bringing in irrelevant titles that don't matter. WCW must have been the model for that.
I'll give AEW credit for this. At least when they're doing that, they're telling you which title it is, and they actually have the belt there. And like we saw later,
Conan didn't even have a title.
This is not the first time they had Conan the undetermined Mexican Heavyweight Championship.
That's a good point. I didn't even notice Conan didn't have the title with him.
Well, it didn't even say which it is. Like, which promotion are we talking about here? And one thing I give Tony Khan. Tony Khan will give you, it will know every promotion because he knows everything.
Yeah.
And he has a belt full of, in his office, he's just got a wall full of belts he can just hand out at any time. So, one up to Eric Bischoff,
Well, furthermore,
let's not date this to the future, talking too much about it.
Furthermore, sometimes less is more. I'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of less is more, I'd rather have had this match cut completely and you add more time to other matches on this card. Fire and Ice.
Match, but
Fire and Ice just not. They never won a tag. This is not a blood feud. They never won a tag. I don't even think they won a match as a tag team.
They were put together like 2 months before this, I think, or something like that. 3 months maybe, and then they already had a match, I think, in Hog Wild, if I'm not mistaken. And then they have this match here, and you've got Ice Train with Teddy Long managing him, which is a kiss of death at the time.
Big Teddy Long.
Big boy Teddy Long.
Had weight on him in this match.
Yeah. Teddy Long on the what is that? Krispy Kreme diet because he's from Atlanta.
I've never
Bischoff had some good catering, all right? It's okay. I'm a big guy problem. They had some good catering backstage, I'm sure. So hey, can you blame Teddy for not really caring at this time what they were putting?
Instead of Teddy Long, he was Teddy Huge.
Teddy Wide.
Teddy White.
Teddy, don't block us on Twitter, please. Oh wait, that wasn't him. But love you, Teddy.
Anything furthermore to add to Train Ice?
God,
At least
no.
it was short. At least it was shortish. That's what I
Yeah. Hit like a 12-minute mark, and then it was flat.
As we prepared for the second attempt at an ice train push 5 years or 3 years after they first tried it. But anyway,
So
I was more of a fan of his latter Nitro era days as Am I Smooth.
yeah.
The limo
Next
driver.
match. Conan versus Hoovy Juice.
Hoovy.
Juventud Guerrera.
Yes. What an entrance for Hoovy, right?
Yeah, what an entrance.
Almost trips over the ring
Backwards up
steps.
the stairs.
Recovers okay, but I'm surprised they didn't cut away from that.
Well, why was Conan
this was
in
WWE,
the
edit it
Dungeon
out.
of Doom?
It was like it was his placeholder little stable before he joined NWO, I guess. I don't know. He turns heel, he joins the Dungeon of Doom just because there were another stable that just kept adding random members.
But hold on a second. Do you see how Conan is dressed?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when he like first started with that whole look.
How does that fit with the look and feel when you have mummies appearing from the Dungeon of Doom and you have a
Jimmy
gangster
Hart.
Mexican in your group? How does that fit? One doesn't look like the other.
No, certainly not.
Especially with Jimmy Hart as manager.
And
Another Jimmy Hart pairing that makes absolutely no sense.
well, because Conan was never given the ball to talk until the Wolf Pack. And then
Right.
we're like, holy shit, this guy
can
can talk. And he's never stopped talking since. Sometimes he just talks too much, gets himself in trouble. That's why he never got another WWE contract offer, apparently. Oh, God. This was the time where even Big Bubba was in the Dungeon of Doom. They just they threw everyone in the dungeon. It was literally they just threw them in the Dungeon of Doom to get buried, and somehow Conan made it out of there. He made it out of the dungeon.
We have nothing for you, group.
And then until they NWO to say, hey, we're just going to take on everybody. So we'll take you, Conan. We'll take you, Bubba. We'll take you, whoever else made it. I'm surprised they never took Braun the Leprechaun. But
I must have had rose-colored glasses because I remember this match being smooth as a kid. Man, what a slop fest! It was
this one was bad.
It was like these two were sloppy, drunk. They were taking shots in the back and then went out and had this match.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it was around this time when, like I said, Conan, like when he joined the Dungeon of Doom, he changed his whole persona. He kind of changed his style too. This was not exactly. You would have hoped for something better because I'm sure they've had some matches before, but
can anyone identify what that second move off the top rope Hoovy did when he had Conan down?
No.
The announcers were like, "That was a nice spinning."
Well, remember. Oh, you don't remember.
This is one of
if Mike Tenay was not on commentary, they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, very true.
Matches.
This was probably Hoovy's first pay-per-view appearance for WCW.
Yeah.
What was it?
So it might have been.
Oh, okay.
He was very young here, but he'd go on to have some better matches, obviously, on pay-per-view.
Thank God, better matches.
So the less said, the better. Conan retains the mythical Mexican heavyweight title.
Mexican Championship, World of Mexico.
Someone who's smarter than us will do research and find out which title he held at the time, if it was AAA, if it was something else. But let us know in the comments.
Then the next match, forgot about this one. The Lionheart, Chris Jericho.
A young Chris Jericho.
Speaking of pay-per-view debuts here.
Versus, oh man, it always pains me to say this.
Bob Holly. Sorry, that's a reference other people will do.
The Crippler, Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
In their first WCW meeting, I believe, here. So
yeah, both.
They didn't have too many.
They came over from ECW. Jericho a little bit later on here. I think this is around the time Jericho jumped, right?
Yeah, this was like his first pay-per-view. I think he first showed up at Nitro.
I think
like,
he actually
month
had
before
the
this.
ECW TV title at this
He
time.
did.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
No, he had lost it by this point, but yeah, he had
I
just
think
had
it
it
was
that summer.
it was
It was
very
in the summer
close.
he lost it. Yeah, it was like he
JML knows nonsensical trivia like this. He might have been champion at the point.
yeah, like because Heyman put a title on him, even though he didn't have well, he didn't have many people under contract at the time. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he had them
Would
under.
a Paul Heyman contract actually hold up in court? We'll never know.
He had them under. I'll get you a couple cheeseburgers at McDonald's contracts.
He did give him that the time of day, but yeah, this is their big first pay-per-view meeting together.
Yeah,
Jericho's first big WCW match.
Obviously, there's already a connection there. We have the Dungeon connection. We have not the Dungeon of Doom, the Hart family Dungeon connection.
Yep.
We have the Canadian connection.
Yeah, shockingly, bring it up on commentary without like today. They're talking about their the fact they've met before in the past.
Yeah, I it's hard for me to go in deep with the Benoit matches due to every time I say that name, I think of something tragic that happened, and that's just me. I just can't get it out of my head. So if you guys want to talk about it more, you guys can go ahead. I just really can't talk anymore.
I don't know many people that can, to be honest. It's hard to not think about it, even if you get stuck into a match, which I can do at times, but you're right, the entire time it's in the back of your head. I mean, these guys were always good. They always had chemistry. They were always going to have a good match. I don't think they could have a bad match if they tried. So it's just two guys chopping each other half to death. Pardon the pun.
For their earlier work together, this was
it was pretty solid. It's far from their best. They'd have a lot more.
Well, my favorite is always going to be the ladder match they had at Rumble.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think this wasn't going to get to that level, but it was a good showing for both. We'll say that. Yeah, Jericho just showing up, so he kind of was just getting his feet under him in WCW, which obviously took a while for him. He didn't get that next level until he changed his whole character and everything. So, yeah, fine match here. Just with standing all with what JML just said. So Benoit gets a nice victory here, and yeah.
I was expecting more out of this match, though. I didn't think it was going to end with a back suplex off the top.
Yeah, interesting finish. Yeah, although hey, I mean, it was pretty devastating. That could be considered a finisher. Although again, it's very hard to watch these matches, let alone watch matches where he's landing on the back of his head.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Anyway. Yeah, so yeah, unique finish.
And isn't Jericho the godfather to David Benoit? Daniel.
David Benoit?
Wasn't
he or no?
His older son, you mean?
Yeah.
I should know this. I don't know, but he was.
I
know they become pretty close when he had brought him to an AEW show and all that. And I know they showed that on the Dark Side episode.
But he might be. He might
as well have been. He was like, they were tight, obviously.
Big advocate for him. Yeah.
For JML's sake, let's go on to the next match.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cruiserweight title match. Rey Mysterio, 1996 Rey Mysterio. 1995 through 98 Rey Mysterio is probably
solid stuff.
Solid. I mean,
nobody else is doing what this guy
level cruiserweight luchador. Like, I don't think you get any better than this.
It's like he came from the future, basically. Like River.
Believe it or not, watching this made me want to watch his Intercontinental Championship match last night on SmackDown.
Yeah, obviously Ray's still to this day insane.
I'm coming around to Rey Mysterio. Frank doesn't know how much I disliked Rey Mysterio Jr.
Well, it depends on when you started seeing him here. Like I said,
Charlie wasn't a Brett guy either.
No,
not everybody is.
But
depends on when you got involved.
On Brett.
Total Shawn Michaels.
We got to remember, I was yeah, it's weird how everybody makes a choice. Like me, it's different because, like we said, I grew up with him, and like I got into him at an early age. I remember when he was still a tag team wrestler, so both of them really. So I have a different view of all these guys. Just like Ray here, I got to see him. I didn't see his ECW stuff because I didn't see ECW till a little later.
Yeah.
After he had left, but he wasn't there very long. But I did see Jericho's brief appearance. But yeah, Ray coming, he just like, I've heard about him. I read about him in the magazines, and he shows up Nitro and all that, and he's just, wow. This guy's, it wasn't even in my head, he's little, but look how fast he is. Look at the moves he makes.
Yeah.
What is he, 23 here, 22?
I think he's
so
younger than
smooth.
that.
He's probably 21 or something like that at this point.
I was trying to figure out how old he is now.
He's 48 now, I believe.
48?
I believe he's 48 now. So do the math. That's 26 years. So 21, 22, yeah. So, yeah, he's just so smooth here. Like already.
47.
47? Okay, so he's going to be 48. All right. Close.
So let's do
right.
math. He's like 22 years old here.
22, 21.
No, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, doesn't Jericho have an excerpt in his Lion's Tale that Ray was like a teenager smoking dope in Mexico when Jericho?
Oh, when he saw him without his mask, yeah, he thought he was a kid, literally a kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's
yeah.
That's our friend. Yeah, I mean, he started when was he like 13, 14 years old, so he's already a veteran here at 21, and he's so good. Like JML said,
the only thing about this match, right, that could have been better. There's no clear heel work in this match, which hindered a lot of crews. That's why Dean Malenko was the perfect foil for these cruiserweight matches, and then Jericho when he turned heel. They needed the American heel cruiserweight to help carry this division for a multitude of reasons. Promo, storytelling, in the ring. Like those two key things. If you didn't have that, some of these were just flip-flop matches.
Right. So,
and then when Eddie turned heel, that actually
what he did
helped too.
Sure.
They needed that one strong heel competitor. As much as I love Ultimate Dragon, him as champion versus Rey Mysterio, great match, but that's it. There's no story. Sonny Ono, not great on the mic because he played into the Asian stereotype where he couldn't speak English.
Right.
Oh, even though he played a translator like 3 or 4 years ago. But Super Callow, not one of the GOAT tier cruiserweights in this division.
But memorable, maybe just because of his look.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I'm sorry. Well, they were still calling him. Well, I'm sorry. And then later on, they were corrected themselves at Super Calo, not Super Callow, as they were saying here. But it's like it was not Ultimate Dragon; it was Ultimo Dragon. But yeah. He had that hat and those glasses. That's what I remember about him.
Yep.
As Jericho said, would later saying that that Battle Royal when he introed everybody, you'll notice his hat never comes off. But interesting pairing. Yeah, it was a fun match. Like you said, there's no real heel here other than the fact that Ray's obviously always an ultimate face. But
now, okay. Anything else you want to say about the cruiserweight match, title match? Obviously, Ray retains.
setting up that Dean Malenko rematch next month. Yeah, which.
I mean, come on. This division was stacked.
Yeah.
In 1996, WCW, somehow the Nasty Boys are still in the picture.
Where the
just hanging on here, yeah.
This was the expiration date. I mean, it is already past the expiration date on the Nasty Boys.
It was about to happen anyway. They were teasing they were going to join NWO, and then they beat them up. So this was pretty much the end. So to see them still having a title shot with Harlem Heat, it felt kind of out of place at this point at WCW.
Also, explanation did on Cherry.
I mean, this was around the time with Sherry.
Oh, I love Sherry.
With the expiration date. I don't think she lasted that much longer after this, to be honest.
Yeah.
In WCW. Let me see.
Yeah, she kind of faded off after this. It's too bad they never found another role.
But I mean, we saw this match 1,000 times between 95 and 94, 95. This match happened a lot.
They traded the titles a couple times. Yeah, so they.
Now I have the Nasty Boys WCW theme song stuck in my head. Great job, guys.
It's a good one.
With
the nasty.
It was basically, Jimmy Hart just taking the theme he did in WWF and just adding lyrics to it. So
July 7th, 1997. So she had another almost year, but
that was crazy.
yeah, she was hanging on. They kind of didn't need her anymore. It was like she helped bring legitimacy to Harlem Heat when she joined them up, just like she did with Shawn, just like she did with pretty much everybody that she was with, even if
but the whole thing with Parker and her,
it was really stretched out and weird by this point. Yeah,
it got distracting to how good actually Harlem Heat was at this time.
Yeah,
like it took away from how good, and there became a certain point where neither of those guys needed a mouthpiece anymore.
No,
the only time, I mean, Booker T did drop the N-word prior, but again, he didn't need Sherry anymore. He didn't need Parker. He didn't
Stevie Ray needed a mouthpiece.
Not really. Stevie Ray is he's not bad on the mic.
I mean, he was never going to be like the star of the team. We obviously Booker's the star of the team. He can hang. Stevie Ray was fun in his own way. They were perfect as a tag team, but obviously a year after Booker finally goes off on his own, like a year after this,
hold on a second. The best from trashy WCW days was when Stevie Ray went to find Booker T when they were looking for Booker T in was it in Harlem? Do you remember that, Frank?
Which one was it? When was this?
Oh man, I gotta send it to you.
I should remember everything. I'm like, wait, I'm trying to think what you're talking about.
He goes to find Booker T in Harlem. It's hilarious. It's like a parody.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm thinking of later on when they broke up, they got back together, they broke up again, and then he sued him over the rights to the letter T.
They brought in Ahmed Johnson.
They brought in Ahmed Johnson we brought in Ahmed Johnson who had eaten Ahmed Johnson at this point.
With Clarence Mason.
Maybe we'll get to that someday if we're feeling fun.
15.
Yeah. Anyway, this match happened.
Yeah. The crowd loved it.
Yeah, the crowd was really into this. I did notice it. They were getting really into it.
The crowd was more into this match than they were Jericho and Benoit.
Yeah, because they knew these guys. They knew these teams. They had placed value in them. They know them. They've built up with them. Sometimes you can just throw a great match out there. Not every crowd's just going to go crazy because it's a great match. Depends.
In the back, Mike Tenay doing an interview with the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Always a fun interview with Savage.
Yep.
You never knew what you were going to get.
No, that's for certain.
I don't know either.
He said something, paraphrase it, like, I'm the most fined man and suspended man in the history of WCW. Now I'm its savior. Blah, 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 blah. He wants to obviously fight Hogan. All this stuff. It's wonderful. Charlie, any comments?
No, just another fun Macho Man interview.
Yeah, they were just setting up like the Halloween Havoc match. Actually, I think his contract was coming up around this time, so there wasn't even any surety that he'd be staying in WCW. So they were kind of just using him whenever they could. And of course, he always had an insane promo too.
Savage math. Apparently, when he cut the Giant in half, it would be 44 feet tall.
And as I mentioned to you during this promo, I said I really like that Nitro cut up shirt he has on. And I want.
Oh yeah, that shirt is tremendous.
And then I think I figured out, because I'm an insane historian, I figured out that he was wearing the same hat he wore at WrestleMania 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just recognized the pattern. I said, wait a minute, I think I've seen that one before. It's all right, guys. I'm weird like that. This is what I think of when I watch it. But yeah, it was a savage promo. Like he was never going to cut a bad promo, even if he was rambling, which he often was.
Even when he's coked out of his mind, he cuts amazing promos.
That's his best time.
Yeah.
Get you hyped.
Cream rises to the top.
I wish the match was as exciting as the promo, but that's another story.
Yeah, so then we have the match. then the bell rang, right? That's what they say. Then the bell rang.
Yep.
They had some better matches before this, but this one was just kind of. This was basically like an angle. It wasn't really a match.
Well, this match was already cursed because the Giant comes out. They play his Dungeon of Doom.
Yes.
They forgot he was part of the NWO. They realized the mistake. They switched the music.
That was hilarious.
The big storyline, Nick Patrick is like the dirty ref. The commentators, point that out that he's the ref for this match.
He hasn't revealed he's NWO yet, but it's pretty obvious he's favoring.
Which my only mistake with that is if he's already been dirty towards the NWO, then why not have him only ref NWO matches?
Well, and why was he still having a job? Of course, we would later find out that Bischoff was already with them.
Yeah,
he was a benefactor.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight, you killed DiBiase's role.
You don't need him at that point. Bischoff becomes this mouthpiece that you didn't know he could talk, and he could talk. That's a great heel. Yeah, DiBiase had no purpose being here at this point.
No.
Couldn't wrestle. They didn't really need a mouthpiece for this group.
He was
like Bischoff came along. And Bischoff came along, and he's a better leader of this because he's the boss there, and could cut a heel promo. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah, this match, not great. Not great. Giant wins. Distraction by Hogan.
Giant did the same spot on the outside twice. Within a matter of like 5 minutes also. That was a little odd, but
the original 3 NWO get involved. Yeah. Hogan, Hall, Nash.
This was just like I said, it's an angle. It was setting up the next pay-per-view. It's like, again, here we're gonna beat up Savage again. It wouldn't be the last time. Tonight, unfortunately.
We get the Slim Jim commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, WCW made out in this contract with Macho Man. They basically paid him next to nothing. Slim Jim paid Macho Man's contract.
Yeah. I think that was another reason, I think, for the big heat with Vince and Savage. He left and took that Slim Jim thing with him. They tried to keep it. They did some commercial, but they wanted him. And like you said, I think they paid. Yeah, that's weird. It's like they sponsored him.
Yep. They made an agreement where WCW would feature Slim Jim in exchange for Macho Man's wrestling contract.
Hey.
And even in death, the Macho Man Slim Jim combination is making money. They have a figure that's highly sought after that comes in a Slim Jim box.
Yeah, for all the guys they tried, he's the iconic one. They had Warrior do it, they had Nash do it, but it was Savage was like forever linked with Slim Jim.
Edge do one?
Edge did one.
Yes, later on, you're right. It just never clicked like it did with Mach here. So yeah, and all they had to do was throw that logo and everything, and that was pretty easy. Free sponsorship.
Did Warrior ever do one?
He did early on because I saw it on.
It's got to be on YouTube.
If you watch on the Peacock, there's one of the Coliseum videos of Warrior, from the late '80s. I think it's on there, like the commercial.
So if there was a bunch of cocaine in front of Savage or Warrior, who gets done with the pile of cocaine first?
I think Warrior gets done with it first, but you see it more in Macho Man.
Okay.
Triple threat: Warrior, Macho Man, Tony Khan. Who wins? Tony
Khan is just shoving his face in the whole thing.
And perhaps Excalibur. I don't know. I don't want to.
Tony Khan will have power all over
his face and wide eyes. He might be on. We're gonna get so in trouble. We're gonna get a lot of bad comments on this. It's okay. We're having fun.
When we do weekly verdict after this, we'll discuss my my disdain for Excalibur.
Why?
We'll save it for the other show.
Good things of AEW for me.
We'll save it for the other show.
Okay.
We have essentially all former horsemen in the back. Luger was a former horseman. We have obviously Arn and Flair. Then we still have Elizabeth and Woman. This is a really weird grouping of people.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a lot of cocaine? Probably a lot of cocaine going on.
A lot of drinking, a lot of cocaine.
The only one probably not doing cocaine is Tenay, but who knows? We have the whole fake Sting thing. It's just, man, what a cluster.
Yeah, and it's like my whole thing with that was like nobody tried to reach out to him that past week, and like he just never talked to them. And he showed up. It wasn't me.
Who we missed the most? Mean Gene. Tenay had no control. No control.
I was thinking that when I watched this, and when you mentioned about Gene, I'd be like, "Oh, I understand." Now. I was gonna say, where is Mean Gene?
Tenay was not good for this role. He literally.
No,
I'll show you a picture. Hold on. Let me see. I can get this.
No, Tenay is a commentary guy. He's not an interviewer, and if he's gonna be one, this is not the thing that you're putting him in a major.
Hold on.
I'd rather they send Shivani backstage to talk to him.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyeballs during this backstage segment.
He's like, I'm in over my head.
It looks like Eli Manning after he would throw an interception. Okay. Way over his head. Way, way over his head. Now, Art Anderson, this was about a year later. I guess he's like done, right? With the neck.
Yeah, just a couple months, actually. I think he stopped wrestling after, I think his last match was early 97. So, yeah, this is pretty much the tail end. And he's still in his 30s here, by the way, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure the War Games.
Arn's in his 30s here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Arn, like when the Horsemen started, Arn was like, I don't want to say exact number, but he was in his early 20s. Arn has looked like he's been 45 years old for like.
Granted, he ages well now. Holy shit, his 30s.
I think he's.
Wow.
I don't know if you want to look it up. He's not. He's younger than me here.
Oh my God.
Hold on a second.
If I'm not mistaken.
Have you seen Brock Anderson? First of all.
Yeah, Arn was born in
like 24 and he looks 45.
Yeah.
So Arn was born in 1958. So that would, let's see. He was
38 years old.
He was 38 years old on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the genetics. Like even if you find a video of him doing like early 80s when he's doing like job work on WCW or on NWA, he looked the same. He's always looked the same.
That's crazy.
He had slightly more hair back then. It was blonder. That was basically the difference.
Yeah.
So NWO versus Team WCW. Mystery Fourth Men. They love this mystery shit. They love it.
Yeah. So Sting claims it wasn't me. I'm here, and then he leaves, and we're led to believe they don't have a fourth member.
Michael Buffer got his $50,000 to say the introduction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this was like a different setup because usually War Games, you had the whole teams come out there. They even mentioned in commentary, they flipped the coin. This way, they just had guys come out one at a time. Like they introduced them individually for the first time, I think they did in War Games.
Yeah, the explanation, they didn't want the teams fighting around the ring. That was the explanation.
And yes. And shockingly enough, the NWO wins the coin toss. The heel never wins the coin toss.
Shocking. But it did work in terms of storytelling for the mystery of the fourth men, right?
Absolutely.
In this match. So that's the real reason why they did it.
Yeah.
This is a solid War Games match. Was it the best? No. But the crowd was into it. Crowd ate this up.
It felt like a big thing. You know, the commentators are selling it like it's the most important match ever. Yeah.
I can't imagine how much money Hogan was getting because he worked Dash at the Beach, okay, Hog Wild, the Clash of the Champions,
this match here,
Fall Brawl, and then he's going to work Halloween Havoc. He didn't do that.
He worked Starrcade too. Yeah, I think he only skipped one, and he made an appearance at World War III, so he was on every show at this time.
He was definitely a per appearance guy, right?
He was limited dates.
Yeah,
he seemed but he worked more once this NWO caught fire. Obviously, he was making more appearances. Why? More money. because he had like a huge
because
percentage
he knew
of pay-per-view.
his contract specified a certain amount of dates, and
Yeah.
they knew that they needed him on TV, so they were going to pay it no
Mhm.
matter what. I can't imagine. Maybe we can look it up.
I think he got a huge percentage
in
of that.
1996.
How much money did Hogan make?
Well, I know that he made like a big percentage of pay-per-view revenue and all that. It was all in his contract.
The merch was like 50% or something like that.
So, yeah, so
didn't they lose money every time they sold an NWO T-shirt between the percentage of what Hall, Nash, and Hogan would get? Like WCW would lose like $3 or something like that.
Yeah, but that's why he was smart attaching himself to the thing or going along with it, because look how much more money he made on the merch alone.
And still making.
Yeah.
Look at what Frank is wearing today.
This is still making money. I'm sure he just got a royalty check in the mail. He's going to thank Fire Frank.
So Sting, we have the fake Sting come out.
And it's obviously a fake Sting once he comes out.
Then the real Sting comes out, basically slaughters the whole NWO, leaves the ring to prove a point. And,
especially to Luger, because it was very true at the time. After like the whole angle they did when Luger came back, Sting always had his back, and then you're gonna turn on and not trust me. I'm the guy that trusts everyone, and everybody turns on me. And now you're not going to trust me.
It's only showing his net worth now.
There was online. It was a while ago. I think somebody leaked his old. I don't know if it was this contract or the next contract he signs, because I think his contract was almost up as well around this time.
Between 96 and 2013 million.
And that's just his contract, or was that all the other stuff he made?
I guess it's just his contract, which was $5 million more than any other wrestler at that time.
And actually, at this point, you could say it's justifiably so, because he was not only in the top angle, he was the hottest heel. Like when he came in, they didn't really accept him maybe as a babyface, but here he's not only being pushed as a focal point, he is the top heel in the company, probably in wrestling at the time, really.
Frank, I believe you may be correct with the contract, but I actually think it was a year prior.
Yeah. Okay. It was always something with the contracts. I know there was a couple times where
it was late 97, early 98 was the next time.
Yeah.
And apparently he reached out to Vince, and there was almost a deal, and it didn't happen.
Of course, even if he didn't want to go, leverage, And I think, like I said, Savage's contract coming up here, I think there was also some talk that maybe he talked to Vince.
You're pretty safe. You're pretty safe when even after his trials, his net worth is $100 million.
Yeah.
So,
he's loving life,
okay.
even with paying all that money to his ex-wife and stuff.
Yeah. Sure. He made almost $14 million, as Charlie said, wrestling. That's not including merch. That's not including whatever else he had going on. He had some terrible movies that he got paid money for.
How much of that $13 million went to cocaine? We'll never know.
Enough.
Or Hogan's Spaghetti Restaurant in
Pastamania, brother.
Pastamania.
That's not real, is it?
It is real.
It was very real.
Where?
The first Nitro.
It was inside that mall, right?
Yeah, it was in Minnesota.
It was in Mall of America.
Mall of America. They had Pastamania, and they featured it all over that episode of Nitro.
Pastamania, brother.
Hey, he had one. I think even Mean Gene had a burger restaurant later on. Hey, these guys you gotta know.
I'd go to the burger place.
Another plus for the GOAT, Mean Gene. Always knew how to make money.
Mean Gene. That's why they called him Scheme Gene.
Yeah. He's the best.
So this match wasn't about a match. It was about storytelling. It set the stage for a storyline that runs around 18 months, where Sting doesn't say a single word. He becomes the Crow, essentially. He's looking down from the rafters. At one point, he's joined by Savage, which was really weird.
Yeah, when they
and we'll
brought Savage
discuss
back.
that in other shows and why that was weird. But man, let me
Starts
tell you
here.
something. They would never, ever, ever have a storyline run 18 months where a wrestler doesn't talk nowadays. It would never happen.
No.
Could you imagine if Bray Wyatt came back and didn't say a word for 18 months?
No, even that one Jericho return where he
Yeah,
wasn't
but I
talking
was
only lasted a couple like a month.
I was just thinking of that. It lasted a month.
His troll, the Jera troll run there, as we called it. Yeah, and I think that was, I don't know. I'd heard many times that the reason why this happened is because his contract they'd used all his dates up to, or he couldn't wrestle. I don't know.
I
For it to be that long.
believe at the time Sting had some substance abuse issues that
Actually, yeah,
were-
it continued even through this whole angle, I think, because I think even
well, this
into,
is
like,
where Sting kind of is starting to let himself go.
Yeah.
There's an infamous 83 Weeks episode. 83 Weeks is a podcast with Conrad Thompson featuring Eric Bischoff, and they covered 1997 Starrcade, and they asked when did Bischoff lose trust in Sting? And he said 97 Starrcade, Sting showed up and he wasn't tan.
Yeah, I've heard him say this story a lot of times, and this is why nobody can give a straight answer as to why Starrcade went down as it did. We'll talk about this at another time, obviously. I didn't think he looked that bad when he came back to the ring. He looked pretty in shape to me, and he didn't look that like pale. So I don't know what. And if he did, it was good for the character. I thought. I don't know, but I know what you mean. Like supposedly that whole time he let himself go, and he probably did. He's wearing a trench coat.
Yeah.
You didn't see his body until like he came back to the ring. So,
Now,
I don't know. I've heard that story a lot of times. I don't buy it 100%, but he definitely had some issues around this time, and he's opened up about them. Even made a terrible movie about it.
yes.
Charlie
Now-
needs to see that if he's never seen it.
What is it?
The Sting Moment of Truth movie.
No,
It used to be on Netflix years ago. You got to find it if you can find it on something. 'Cause
We'll do.
it's kind of like this movie he made after he had like cleaned up and all that. It's very bad.
The man called Sting. The man called Sting. I loved his old WCW theme song.
Yeah, he always had cool theme songs. Even this Crow theme.
Well,
Yeah, this was like the start of that hottest thing. Like you said, NWO wins when he abandons them. I'm pretty sure Luger never submitted. Nick Patrick just called for the belt because he's a heel ref, and then
They said he passed out.
they beat up Macho Man again. Starts the whole Elizabeth thing where she's trying to save him, and they spray paint her, which led to her joining the NWO.
Doesn't he smack her, Hogan? Doesn't Hogan smack her?
Pushed her, I think.
Pushed her.
He pushed.
Just like a nod back to like their history. It was a weird storyline they're doing. Like they were using her
He
to
spit
get
on her.
Savage. Yeah, he spit on her. And he spray painted her. Like they were
He
using
should have
her.
slapped her. If you're gonna spit on her, might as well slap her.
Jake did that. Jake the Snake did that in '91. What a reaction that was.
And imagine if that happened today.
Yeah,
Forget it.
Yeah.
Be canceled in a second.
This was a weird story, yeah. But they're using her to get at him, but then she winds up joining. I don't understand. And that's like the justification why he joins later. Well, she's here. Like,
Elizabeth.
Yeah, it was a weird way to end it. It was like it was like the ending of Nitro to end this paper. It was weird. It's like
It really
ended
was
early.
like a Nitro. This was
Promo.
a Nitro with War Games.
It was kind of like a Nitro, and they had too much time to fill at the end of the show because they, like you said, they should have had plenty of time for these other matches, and they kind of end early, and they take over commentary, and the Giant starts talking before they even get his headset on, so he has to put it on him. And it was really weird.
Yeah, for real.
We saw this same ending a million times every week on Nitro, so
cool.
Weird way to end the show, but that's just how they did back then.
So I give this a thumbs up because it continued to, it set the stage for a really awesome storyline. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
The whole, like you said, the main event and the whole story surrounding it gives it I guess, a reluctant thumbs up. If not for that, if it was it's not the best undercard, it's an average, maybe WCW pay-per-view, but like you said, because it kicked off this big story, you have to give it a recommendation, I'd say.
So next topic we'll be covering, we'll be going back one pay-per-view. Actually, not one pay-per-view, one live TV special, Clash of Champions. I forget the number. Frank had it written down. But
Are we doing the 96 August one? We're doing 94. Oh, we're going this. Okay, because I know
Yeah.
we talked about something else.
yeah, we'll do this one.
Okay,
And we can do both of them, but
gotcha.
because Clash of Champions is only an hour and a half each.
Yeah, with the commercials out. Because it was a 2-hour they'd be 2-hour specials on TV, so without the commercials, it's an hour and 20 something.
So we're gonna do a Clash of Champions from '94 and one from '96 because we've been covering the 2 years essentially. It will be fun. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. Sign offs.
Thanks so much, guys, for your support. We love talking about all this old great wrestling.
Flip the gang signs.
Life.
Charlie.
Thank you for subbing, for commenting, sharing, liking. It all helps our channel grow. We appreciate you all.
Good night. Good luck.